Yeah, so down go the metals. The dollar's up, the market's down, yields are up. I had issues watching the yields here on TradingView, but what else did we have with commodities up? Uranium and oil very, very strong. Natural gas disappointing. Metals down. Let's take a look. Let's start off with the S&P. So closed at low of day. Markets don't look that good anymore. Nice move up we've had, a bit of a top here, resistance is pretty much where we were. It's right here for me, 452-ish. Was support down here, also a bit toppy over here. That tail, we breached it, but we never closed above it. So there you go. Now we're pretty much destined to go low. For me, S&P down, we go to 444. But I think we're going to go low. I think we're going to go create a right shoulder. I thought we were always going to create a right shoulder. I just didn't think we'd go this high, but there you go. That's what news does. It interrupts the pattern. But in this case, I think the pattern will play out. Let's look at the Nasdaq, same sort of thing. Didn't close at low of day though, so that was a bit stronger. I think Nvidia even closed green just about. But I think the Nvidia top is in. It's pretty much close to its high, but I'm still short that. But otherwise, Nasdaq, I think we will go back down. I think the S&P will go lower. I think the Nasdaq won't be able to hold these gains. Down we go. Obviously, the highs. I mean, for me, next resistance is 385. Otherwise, the absolute high back here, 388. The S&P, I don't think we're going to go all the way up to the highs. That massive bearish engulfing candle, I think, remains the high. Dow Jones, red, close at low of day, looks bad. In 1 or 2 days, we could complete well, it's not a right shoulder, is it? It didn't really have a left shoulder, but I think we could complete the move to the ascending. I think the markets are going to start moving down. I think it started already, when I said it, this big bearish candle, the Nvidia top also. Now they bounce and they bounce a lot, but I think this bounce is done here. So close at low of day, let's continue lower. We have so much macro fundamental reasons to just flush the bear market lows. So let's do it now. Russell, though, look at this, down 2%, really stands out. You have that late pop there, just too little too late. So look at the Russell and the Dow Jones, very, very similar charts. It's all about the ascending. So down we go. For me, Dow Jones, let's call it 34,000. I want to see a close below 34,000. That would really do it. That will take 1, 2, 3 days. The Russell, look at this big down day. 2% is pretty big. Down we go to ascending. That'll take 2 days maybe, but then you want that close below 182, but really below 180. That's a fork in it. Looking at the banks, it always reminds me of the Russell. Now let's get rid of this ascending. That was long overdue. This one won't count. Yeah, so look at this close at low of day. It had a nice pop yesterday. I think they outperformed, didn't they, yesterday? But there you go, complete bearish engulfing candle to undo all of that. It takes 1 or 2 days to get down here. And once you get it close below the last low down here, close below 33.50 would really do it. Then you can start moving all the way down here. And then it looks very, very weak. It looks like banks will take down the markets as they did last time. Remember, yields are going up. That's the XLF. That's the stronger one. Doesn't change. KB, KRE, they went down twice as much as the XLF. Look at this. 1 or 2 days, we're on the ascending, just like the Russell and even like the Dow, but it's really following the Russell or creating the Russell. So KB, and to be honest, KRE is the exact same thing, absolutely identical. This just one day, KRE is actually weaker. That really is the small ones. It could just be one day. That's a really pretty much not the perfect bearing engulfing candle, but very bearish stuff. Opens below, closes way below, fills the gap, closes at low of day. Let's have another 1 or 2 days of that, and we can start. We can start testing the prior lows down here. So the banks and some of these markets, the Russell, the Dow, even the S&P, the Nasdaq will follow it. It's always, it moves more. It moves more on the upside and on the downside. It just takes a bit of time. So for me, still bearish. I still think the top is in. We've had a nice bounce, but we've got all the reasons to go lower. Well, normally I say let's look at yields, but the yields are not really working on TradingView today. So I'm just going to look at TLT, which is working. I mean, you can imagine yields were up today. This is just the inverse. This is bonds. This is the 20-year TLT, the big ETF. Look at that. Just look at the last one, right? I said there's a potential to close the gap. We closed at low of day. We didn't even close the gap. For me, yields, I mean, okay, let's just talk bonds for now. Bonds just want to flush. I don't know if we'll get there in one go, maybe 1 or 2 days, maybe a small bounce, maybe a fake flush, but eventually, fake flush, little bounce, flush. You know, a close below 92 would be the worst close during the entire bear market. And then, okay, the TLT doesn't go that far back, but I mean, you know, that just marks bonds. That's a problem. When bonds are going down like that, that's a real problem. That's yields rising. That'll be markets going down. That's a real problem. So, and we're 1 day away from a potential close below 92. So this is not your normal, you know, week. This could, I mean, no week is normal, but watch out for bonds and yields. I mean, it's the same thing, but yeah, and okay, the EU yields, all of this stuff is working. For some reason, you know, if I look at the 2 year, the 10 year, you can see here trading views having a bit of a tough time creating the candle, but you can see where they closed, at least, I believe. You know, that's 1 or 2 days away from. And I said, look, we're having a little move down. I said we'd go back up. A lot of people thought that was it. The top is in. I think we're making new highs. It's just a small retracement. How is the trend ruined? You know, the 10 year, the 30 year. Just look where we are here. We closed here. You know, the 5, even the 2. Look at that. We just had a triple top. That was a bit, oh, we're going to come back down. No, hammer, and then follow through. 1 or 2 days away. There's news every day, so things can get interrupted. But, you know, the trend is up, and as yields go up, obviously the bonds flush. Sorry, but the markets have to go down, you know. Yeah, yields up across the board. You know, I'm not going to look too much at the others, but, you know, it's the same story. EU, British, German, French, Italian, Japanese, by the way. What the hell's going on in Japan? By the way, let's look at the dollar because I think you get the point. Yields going up. Let's look at the dollar. This is, again, you know, I was looking at the FX. I was saying the dollar can definitely go higher here, especially after this candle here on Friday. You know, we had this drop, but look, the trend was not really broken. I mean, it was, but this is a hell of a ascending move. So it's normal that it just loses a bit of steam. It retests it, closing a high of day, but it was this Friday, this massive move up, close at high. I mean, for me, that said we're going to have some follow through. I looked at the FXs, that kind of confirmed that there was room to move on the major currencies that make up the DXY. And what do we get today? Just perfect, you know, smash up, close at near high of day, close above all this resistance, way above 104.5. You know, where's the next resistance for me? There you go. 105.5, 106. It's time. The time has come to start drawing in the resistance on the way up. So just below 106, there you have, I'm drawing 2 because if I was really bearish the dollar, I would start trimming little 2 machine guns, 1, 2, just below the lines that I've drawn. But there you go. Basically, just below 106 is resistance. This zone here, you can see why I've done that. And then once we hit that, maybe retrace. And if it wants to go higher, I'll look at currencies in a second. Where does it go next? Well, for me, 107, keep it simple. Just maybe above 107, but really, if you're looking for a sell zone, it's just below. But let's just be absolutely precise for now. Again, I like to sell just below these, every trend line I have. If I want to buy it, I buy just above. If I want to sell, I sell just below, just to make sure I get it. After this, well, we have this little high here, 108, makes sense, nice and easy. Very small resistance, by the way. Not every line is the same caliber. After that, there's no resistance until 111. But obviously 110 is a psychological number. It will support down here, also around here. So let's just make a rough 110. I think a lot of people will find it a psychological zone. But for me, 110 is not too strong. It's really 111. Okay, I'm going to stop there because now the chart looks a bit ridiculous. But these levels count. To be honest, my horizontal levels are usually pretty damn accurate. So after that, it'd be 113, 114, and yeah, 114.5 maybe. You know, you have to start considering it. But for now, next resistance is 106, 105.5-ish. Actually, no, 105 point, yeah, 8. This zone, this gap. Although it's not a gap. So let's look at the currencies that make it up. Euro, dollar. You know, that was a weak close. Again, it was that Friday. Look at that close. And then we had this sort of fake Monday. Trading wasn't really high volume. It was a holiday, right? Yeah, Labor Day. And when the Americans don't take part, nothing really counts. Okay, then we had today. Look at that big move down. Basically, Monday was irrelevant. It was just continuation of Friday. And yeah, I've already had this horizontal level in 107. Well, you can see we touched 107. Now, for me, the low is the absolute support is around here. So we could go even lower and test that. I don't see us finding much support now. I mean, we've just lost support. So this is a level here, maybe a little bit lower, 106.8-ish, maybe a small bounce. It depends what happens to the other currencies. After that, we've got 105. But look where we've come from, you know. We had a big move up. And there you go. We're just moving a bit lower. So it can go a bit lower. That's my point. In the near term, it can go a bit lower. So that can add pressure to the DXY going higher. I don't see too much upside. If we do go up, then 109 is a sell. Now, it's the US dollar versus the Japanese yen. You know, again, I said we're going to go higher. Look at this massive candle on Friday. Just the perfect, I mean, I'm not going to call it reversal because it wasn't really going down, but perfect candle suggesting continuation of a move up. And for me, it wants to test 149, 150, 151. I think something is going to happen here. I think the Bank of Japan is really screwed. Like, I really think the Bank of Japan has run out of road to kick the can. It's kicked for I don't know how many decades, you know. People saying Japan is a case study and how you can always inflate print and no. For me, Japan ends now. It ends. And I think it ends here. Something happens. Either they support their currency by selling dollars massively, selling dollars, buying Japanese yen because they have a lot of dollar reserves, because they need to support this because inflation, you know, interest rates, they're trying to do yield curve. It's crazy over there, the Bank of Japan. And I think around 150, and we're getting there, and you can see why stop, you know, until you have to force the Bank of Japan to make a move. Otherwise, this makes sense. So for me, 149 is next. It's a magnet, and that will probably coincide with euro dollar going down here, maybe even lower, right? And you could see this huge reversal of the Bank of Japan intervenes. You could have a really strong top. That would create a top, by the way, in the DXY. That is the last stand. A move up here and then a massive reversal candle, and then I'd have to readjust. This can go, by the way, already. Well, we'll see. But anyway, point is, for the US dollar, Japanese yen, I still think a move up to 149 and maybe even 150 is in the cards. The pounds, now this doesn't weigh in too much on the DXY, but look at that, was closed than ever before. We kind of lost this level. You can see it was a bit of a level. Yeah, down we go to 124. And we definitely have the justification for that. It's a crazy move up. And the pound, I mean, the British economy is not exactly great either. Canadian dollar moved all the way back down to support, but this is such a minute part of the DXY that it's not worth paying too much attention to. But look, down it goes to support. To be honest, this is actually bearish, the dollar, because we've kind of hit a bit of a support zone, but it's so weak that it doesn't matter. For me, it's the euro and the yen. The euro can move a little lower. It's not exactly at support, and it's just lost, you know, its worst close ever. I mean, recently. And the dollar Japanese can go higher. So those two mean the DXY can go higher. The DXY can indeed go higher. And I think we start to find resistance again. It's beaten resistance so far, but the higher we go, the more likely the resistance really plays a stronger role. And for me, it's the Bank of Japan that might change things. But who knows? You have news, you have geopolitics, black swans just flying in circles nonstop every day. So that's the dollar. Let's look at commodities. Copper, I mean, just sideways. We had the markets down. We had the dollar up. To be honest, copper was stronger than I thought it would be. And look at this strength. Actually, I know I didn't watch copper today, but I'm just looking at it now. I mean, given the markets were red, given that the dollar was green, and they were pretty red, the markets, and it was pretty green, the dollar, you'd expect copper to easily be down. And actually, it rallied quite a decent amount to close. That's pretty bullish, actually. And that's despite a pretty bearish green candle on Friday. Yeah, then again, it's probably injecting a bit of Monday in there. There's no Monday. I don't know, but still quite surprised by the close down copper. Natural gas toying with us constantly. I really thought this breakout here would find continuation, but I'm not unbelievably surprised that it's disappointed again. This thing just refuses to break out yet. I don't know what it's waiting for. I mean, look at this line. How many times has it hit it? It's starting to get a bit like this ascending. In fact, it's already beaten it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, this, Jesus. But the more times you test something, the more likely it's going to break. So you don't really want to see it test 2.5, because imagine we close below 2.5. That's it. You should just have a cascade of selling automatically, all the algorithms, because it's tested so many times. But this time it actually does close below 2.5. It probably trigger a lot of stops or something. So you really don't want to see that. I want to see a nice reversal and a move up. I wanted to see it start matching other commodities that are being pretty strong recently. But otherwise, we're stuck in this channel, you know, between 3 or 305 and 2.5. So it's a $1 swing. Sorry, no, it's not one, it's 50-cent swing. And there you go, that's where we are. Usually trading in the bottom part. So, you know, minus 2%, not the best day, but certainly not bearish just yet. Need to see that reverse tomorrow. All right, oil. Oil is just storming up. I mean, you know, it's this steep move up was very nice, called it pretty much, not the entire way, but once it broke out this mini descending breakout, I thought, okay, we're going up to 874. And then after this close, okay, we're going higher. Anyway, you know, look at the past videos. Then we lost this ascending. I said we go to 79. We did. Bam, we bounced. That's despite the markets going down, by the way. So oil was outperforming the markets. Okay, today, no, yesterday, Saudi and Russia agrees to more cuts. So up we go. But, you know, this is not totally unforeseeable. You know, the cuts, they want the price to go up. By the way, price going up isn't great for the US inflation or worldwide inflation. I think the SPR needs to be refilled. I think they even signaled that they would refill it at 80 or something. So there's a bit of a flaw there. The Americans still haven't refilled it. I think oil, you know, I said we'd go to 90, 91, 92 at this point because of how long it's been since I first said that. Now, instead of saying 93, I got to say 92 because we're going to come into this descending support resistance. But look, it looks like it just wants to go all the way up to 90. I'm going to say 92. Then we should meet resistance. You're not really allowed to just break out and, you know, go all the way to 100. It's not going to happen that way. So we should meet some resistance here, then back down, maybe back down a bit more. 85, let's see. But today, bullish, you know, green day, despite the dollar being up, despite markets being down, right? Oil likes to go down with markets. So it didn't exactly close a high of day, but let's see. I think it wants to get to 90, 92. And support should be around 84. I mean, I would say 85, but we're so close. Once you go red, it's easy to flush 85. So it's not the most bullish candlestick today, but you can't say it's bearish. So for me, 92-ish should be resistance. Support, well, I would say 84, otherwise 79 again. If you lose 79, then 74. But oil still very good. Uranium, though, you know, it really was playing with us a bit here. I mean, we had this breakout and then it just overshot on the way down with the markets. Then it went right back up. Then it was just grinding whilst the markets were dropping, also grinding. And then again, this candle here on this Friday, a bit like these candles over here, it was suggesting, okay, we're done with this crap. We're going up. And that's why, I mean, look at this, bam, bam, bam. At this point, it was obvious, you know, especially after this candle, these two candles here did it for me. Up we go, close there, a bit of sideways, some market down movement, keeps going. And then obviously we're going to go to 24, 24.5, bam, close above it today. Amazing. Where are we going? Honestly, now it's clearer that, you know, we're going to 28. We're going to 28, basically. That's next. There's no resistance here, none, until, you know, I would say 27.69, but whatever, 28, basically, you know, with the high at 28.5. So I'd probably sell 28.44 or something if I really want to sell this. So, and after that, it'll go all the way up to 30, 31, 32. So uranium is amazing. Well done, everyone who's in uranium. I hate the fact that I've missed this train. It's so obvious. And you know, it's also obvious. It's not too late to get in, but that's not the way I am. I don't chase, even though as a long-term investor, it's good to just add something, right? Just go in 25% now. And if it goes back down, you still got 75% more to add to. But my focus is elsewhere, and I still think a market crash will come, and I think it will take down everything, probably gold and silver too. But maybe then I'll start to buy uranium. I think there's still one last chance to get in, and it might be on a catastrophic smash, worldwide, all markets. Otherwise, uranium looks amazing, and the long-term thesis, the technicals, everything aligns. So well done. All right, gold and silver. Yeah, close at low of day, not great. Totally sensitive to the dollar. Where are we going next? Well, you have to watch the dollar, right? I'm watching that 105 points. What is it? 0.7.8/106. That's zone. Once the DXY gets there, then maybe the dollar starts to find a bit of support. It might end up being 1900. I don't think we go, if it starts to get very sensitive with the dollar again tomorrow. And I mean, I could see it either finding support around here, the sort of, you see where these tails are here, these sort of 3 or 4 tails. Let's call it 1914. But that's only $10. That's nothing. 1900 should be support. If we lose 1900, then 1885-ish, the absolute low from this area. So for me, those two, 1900, 1885, that's the low. The way up, no point talking about that. I think you have at least 2 days until you crack this. You need one strong reversal day, but even there, you're not going to close above 1950. But that's it, really. You want to close above 1950, then you start running to 1970, 1980. On the way down, really, I'm going to say, if there's light retracement tomorrow, light continuation on the way down, then 1911-ish, Otherwise, 1900, otherwise 1885. Those are the levels I see in gold. Will silver create the level for gold? By the way, that's possible. I said a few days ago that let's switch that. Gold will catch up with silver, whether we go up or down. And that's actually what happened on the way up. We caught up, and then there was a few moves down, and that also happened. Silver went down more than gold. So now gold is kind of perfectly aligned with silver. Can you see what I mean? Silver's like halfway between the low and the high over here, pretty much. And gold is also, okay, it's more on the upper side, but yeah, before gold was really lagging. So I think that is sort of complete now. They can follow each other a bit more perfectly. But, if one of them hasn't hit perfect support yet and the other one has, maybe the other one will have support because of the other one. But gold, I think I've set the level. So 19 just hit 1911-ish, if I could say that. Otherwise 1900, otherwise 1885 on the way down. Silver, I would say prior resistance here. That's a bit hard to call. Well, yeah, no, it's also round number 23. And then if we go even lower, I don't think we will in one day, unless it's very, very strong news. 22.5, it's 50-cent increments. And you know what? By the time you get to 22.5, imagine probably 2 days, you start to hit the ascending support, which is now here climbing. Very strong 22.5. I remember a few weeks ago, it was down here, it was below 22. Now we're 22.5. So for me, 22.5, massive support. Even if we flush it, I think it'll be a strong reversal, because ultimately 22.5 is massive support, especially 22. Yeah, just above 22. So this entire circular area. And remember, we'd be trading on this type of a time period. So very, very strong support here. That's probably a buy. Let's look at miners, because miners got absolutely drenched today. Look at that. Move down. I don't have time to look at all the miners. I would love to. I looked at them. Some of the ones I hold, they look really bad, the charts. And I like that as someone who wants to add. But I think they can go lower, and some quality names. I mean, Newmont's, Barrick Gold, Pan American Silver, Agnico Eagle. I mean, these are just beauties that you want to add to. But, all in sustainable costs, AISC, right? That's gone up. Inflation's up. Oil's up. The costs for labor, for everything has gone up for miners. So they're not as profitable. So sometimes when we look and we think they're cheap, 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 they are. They really are. But maybe not as much as we think, because their costs have gone up, and it's a shame. Like, gold is the perfect inflation hedge, but gold's not really being priced as much or as easily as wages. Like, everything else is being priced higher. more quickly, like wages and the price for all your operational uh everything you do to mine gold and silver. All those costs are going up, and the price of the actual underlying metal that you're selling is not going up in proportion. So it's annoying. I think it's temporary, but maybe we're not we're not always giving credit to that part of the equation. But let's look at GDX. So here we go. We didn't close at absolute low of day. We're kind of at a level. Can you see? It's very slight. It's basically the low of this candle. Otherwise, down we go to here, 28 on GDX. That should be gold at 1900. And how much move is that? 2%. Otherwise 1885, gold at 1885 over here. I'm not going to give you the silver equivalent because I've forgotten, but we've gone through the silver charts already. On the way up, not really going to. I think this horizontal line is actually resistance 29.5/30. Yeah, so above 29.5, there's probably a bit of resistance. Let's move that around here. I need to redo all these targets actually, but yeah, for me that's you've got gold around 1900 when GDX is 28, and if you go lower, 1885 should be here. You could, seeing as the miners are underperforming the metals, honestly, if gold's at 1900, you may even have the GDX lower. You may even have the GDX down here. It's a shame, but it is what it is. The miners are definitely underperforming, and some of the individual miners are underperforming GDX. GDXJ, same sort of thing. Look how close we are to where gold 1900 should be, right? This should be gold 1900. Look how close we are. That's probably not even a percent away. Well, it's pretty much exactly 1%, but that's easy. That's down 1% is nothing. But gold being at 1900 is losing $25. That's a pretty big move. So imagine gold's at 1900. Honestly, you could start having the GDX just testing its lows down here. GDXJ, sorry. So definitely underperforming, not great. And then you zoom out and you've got this heavy chart, and it just looks like it wants to go lower. So if you have DXY going for 106, you probably have the GDXs here, maybe even below 32, GDXJ. And obviously, if there's a big reversal in the DXY, then everything goes back up. It starts to look bullish. We start to look at this descending breakout. But otherwise, if the DXY is continuing up after hitting 106, and we start looking at 110, 111, 112, you're looking at down here. And you don't want to buy too much here. I've already nibbled a little bit here. I'm happy if it goes lower. Depends on the DXY, depends on everything else going on. But otherwise, I want to make sure I have my dry powder for here, because you're going to really look forward to buying down here. You're going to find some sweet deals on some amazing miners. So let's leave this here. Anyway, I do like to finish on Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I'm just going to say the same thing. Really, really bearish. Every pump is dumped even more. All the good news just gets reversed immediately. I think the markets are going lower. I think Bitcoin wants to follow the markets. I don't think it's an inflation hedge. I think it's a heavy risk asset, etc., etc. Once we close below 25,000, imagine the stops. You might have a little reversal because they like to play that game, but I think we go to 20,000. I'll leave it there. Sorry for the long one. I do hope to. I'm not going to make any promises, but I do have a bit of a holiday tomorrow, so hopefully I can do one of those long overdue weekly portfolio updates on the miners, especially as they're getting destroyed. I know I like to see other people's portfolios when they're also getting destroyed, although I haven't seen any such videos recently. It's just me. But anyway, I look forward to making one of those. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this one. Good luck.